You don't need an introduction to the other guy here, Hall of Fame coach, my former coach, Tom Izzo. I really appreciate you joining me for the first time. Hopefully with you, like you said, this will be a big starting point. I don't know how I'm gonna take it up from here, but we'll get into some pretty in-depth things, hopefully.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thanks for having me on and congratulations to you. I think starting this is something could be cool, and especially if you can. I think there'll be a lot of people out there. You had a unique career yourself, and where you came from and where you ended up. You went from a walk-on to making, Magic said, the greatest shot ever made here. So that's coming from high esteem. But you definitely had a unique career, and hopefully you're taking that, because I still think, and me and you argue once in a while, but I still think you have a lot left in your tank in basketball with skills still semi-untapped. So I hope you keep doing that, but you always were a great student, very articulate. So I think this is not just an athlete doing something. I think it's an athlete that has a real interest in this and doing something. And you get better guests, you can make this thing go big time.
I don't know if I'll get better guests, but for now we're gonna call it a little side hustle. Like you said, I'm still trying to work on basketball as long as my body holds up. But as you said, kind of speaking about my career, that's kind of what I want to start off with, is just my 5 years there and kind of the ups and downs, the roller coasters of everything that happened. Because I don't know if you realize, but the 5 years I was there had a lot of different things happen. So with that being said, I don't know if you want to start with the highs or the lows. I'll leave it up to you.
We'll start with the lows, because then we'll build into the highs. How's that?
Perfect. All right. Well, I guess I'll first ask you, do you remember the first time that you got into me at practice?
Boy, I probably don't remember, because I'm kind of used to that, and it's funny, Kenny, when you say it that way, because I never look at it. I really mean this too. And I think this is important for people. I think it's important for you. I can't wait to see you as a father someday, or I can't wait to see you running a company someday, or, whatever your life takes after basketball. I think usually what happens is you look at things a lot differently. And when you're trying to play at the highest level, you're trying to push guys to be, they got to be great. They got to be elite. As you know, we don't talk about winning games here anymore. We
Never
talk
did.
about winning championships and getting the Final Fours, And so that's such an elite level. And if I did get on you, it probably wasn't academically, because you were a good student, but it was probably to push you, because we saw some things in you. So tell me when the first day was.
It definitely was trying to make me better, but it was right from the get-go. I think it was the first official practice in the summer that I had first got on campus. We were doing shoot-arounds and everything like that. But the very first day of practice, we were running the transition drill, and someone passed me the ball, and I go and lay it up, and I think it's a good play. I make the layup, and I'm running back on defense, and all of a sudden you blow the whistle, and you're just like, what are you even doing? If you're not going to dunk the ball, just go ahead and go back to Warren, Michigan. And I'm just like, wow, first official practice, and I didn't even know how to react.
First of all, you got to remember this. I mean, there's not a coach in America that doesn't pick on freshmen. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of the deal, man. I wish you would have been here when Judd had me as a GA and I was a freshman. I think I got fired more times than I can remember, But I honestly think, one of the things you had is elite athleticism and very long arms. And so you had measurables that put you almost at a different level. And probably right off the bat, I wanted to say, hey, anything close, dunk it. And because that's an aggressive approach to things. And probably, you always want to make an impact on a freshman. And you want a freshman that's a little bit worried and concerned, and what am I gotten into? Because then you it's like the weeding out process of classes that you've been in, If you got to take a certain class to get into the business school, they call them weed out classes, the strong survive and the weak don't. The good news is you survived.
I did make it.
So look on it a positive.
It's funny you even say that because it was just, I was worried. I mean, you see it on TV. I've watched Michigan State my entire life, so I knew what I was getting into, but it's just so much different when you're in those shoes and you're yelling at me. You know what I mean? It's just a whole different mentality, a whole different feeling, and you kind of send shivers up your spine.
So what I want to ask you, because this is a two-way conversation.
Of course, anything you want.
What as I always laugh about with certain guys I know, like I said it about Judd Heathcote, or I've watched the John Thompsons of the world, or I've watched the Bobby Knights or the Belichicks. The bark is usually worse than the bite. You know what I'm saying? The bark is always worse than the bite. And, you know, when I think of it, the only thing that ever upset me about you was I always feel like I can get more out of a kid, especially someone that has more talent. As you proved, you know, you did grow through it, but I think you could have been a draft pick still. You know, I think I always look at it that way. So, you know, I think everybody out there should realize, since this is a pretty blunt, honest thing, first of all, I love you to death because, you know, your parents, what they have gone through, your aunt, and how you were a Michigan State guy since you were old enough to get brought up here from your aunt and uncle in games. Remember those days?
Absolutely.
I mean, that was really early. And let me tell you something. You're always better once you're gone. Just like you're going to respect me more once you're out, you become a parent, you become a boss. But I got to respect you more because I learned, like, how would you like this phrase? You ever think this phrase would happen last year? God, I wish Kenny was back because he would have done this and this. Kenny was so good at switching. Kenny understood the game so much better. You know, what the hell are you guys doing? You know, and I think that's what happens in life. You appreciate people or their what they're going through or their mission more. And what you always try to do, Kenny, is get through to them in the time period you have. But it's such a small time, you know. It would take 4 or 5 years. Hopefully, you're going to live to 90.
Yeah. And like you said, we always talked about like the window of opportunity, and you only get us for maybe 5. For me, it was 5, more or less 4, sometimes 3, 2, 1, and you try and make the most out of it. But, you know, kind of transitioning into the next bad topic was my senior year when everyone was making a whole hoopla of the Aaron Henry situation. And I remember just after in the locker room, you know, Max comes up and he tries to tell us how to deal with this and that. And all of us are just like, we're all laughing. Like, what are they even talking about? That kind of was pretty much nothing compared to practice when, you know, the closed doors happen. But also, too, we all knew that when it came down to it, no one was in our corner like you. Like you said, it's a love-hate relate. Like, you show a lot of tough love, but at the end of the day, you do anything for anyone that has ever played for you more than I couldn't even compare you to another coach because it just seems like you're head and shoulders that much above anyone else.
Greatest compliment you could give me, to be very honest with you. And that's why I appreciate guys coming back so much, you know. But it is funny because the waving of that finger, that caused me a lot of problems in a way. And as you said, that was nothing, you know. And right. I give Aaron credit and his like parents, and everybody looks at things, you know. You're going to find out the day you have kids, the day you have people working under you, that you'll be judged how they do, right? I mean, you're going to be judged how your kids or your employees or somebody does. And that's the same for me, you know. But also, like when I got a guy that I think's a pro prospect, whether it be you, whether it be him, or it be somebody else, I want to make sure I know what those guys are looking for. I've been offered 8 or 9 NBA jobs. I know what they need at that level. And so some of it was, we can't be walking up and down the court. We can't be, I mean, that's one problem you didn't have. You ran. I mean, you got a lot of, I mean, didn't you get the opening dunk in that first game that against Duke? Opening dunk. So you got the opener and the closer, you know, but you ran. And, you know, some people have to learn. I'll give you a great example. I just had him in my office. It was Josh Langford. You were around for his freshman year. He thought he was running that lane because that's what he was used to. Now he looks back on those films and go, like, how did you put up with me? I was complaining about it, but I wasn't doing it. And it's all part of the deal, Kenny. It's all, I think it's good topics. See, we start out with the negative. I actually think they're positives, because if people can learn to deal with those things, they're going to be better in the long run. And, but I'd admit it's hard. Most people don't like confrontation. Most people, but most people, I think here you get love too, and I think that's what I get cheated on sometimes. How many meetings did you have in those chairs at late at night or something? Those are good meetings. I mean, there might not seem like it at the time, but if somebody didn't care, you wouldn't have been sitting in those chairs. And that's what's cool about it.
No, for sure. Like I said, the unconditional love from everyone, from the assistants to even my teammates, I miss my guys more than anyone when I'm out here in Greece alone, because especially when you become a pro, it's completely different. The coaches don't care. The players, once you leave the gym, you're probably not going to talk to them until you come back in the gym tomorrow. It's just so much different. And like I've always said, the family atmosphere around Michigan State, just like how you would fight with your brothers, your sisters, your parents, we're going to fight there, but it's all because we want the same thing. We want to win and we want to advance our careers. So, it maybe takes a year or two to trust you, to trust the system, stuff like this. But once you get there, it's, eye-opening, a whole different level of your consciousness, and we all start to buy in eventually.
Don't you think, Kenny, that's one of the hard things, even when you go pro now, is does anybody trust anybody anymore? So I understand it's hard. I understand, but I also understand it's essential if you're in a team sport, if you're in a family, if you're in a business. It's essential that everybody's working for a common goal. People out there should know, if you had a more than one strength, but one real strength, to me, you were an unbelievable teammate. Like, remember the time when we were deciding on what to do with Nick Ward when he got hurt, and, do we start X? Do we not? I mean, you were a guy that could be in those meetings and could sit down and talk about it. And you almost have to make some tough decisions. That's what life's all about. But you were always a great teammate, and you probably get to where you are. I know some of our pros that are in the States, they get to those teams and it's just like you said, everybody wants to be in their own little cocoon and nobody wants to help you through anything. And I never thought that's what team sports was all about.
No, it's a weird feeling when you get out there and then you, like you said, sometimes you might not trust someone just because you don't know them. You haven't played with them for more than 2 months, or you've seen what they do off the floor, on the floor, and you're just kind of like, I don't really think he wants the same thing as everyone else on the floor. It's such an eerie feeling, especially coming from a place like Michigan State.
And that's probably an eerie feeling too, that when you first got here, it's like, what is this, But what it is, you won a couple of championships. You participated in 2 Final Fours that you were there for. That's not a bad day's work, when you look back on it. And 5 years from now, it's going to be bigger. And 20 years from now, when you're telling your kids what you did, it's going to be awesome, and you bring them back and your name's on the wall and the banners that you won, and somebody's playing the video of the shots you made, and it's going to be, this gets nothing but better. So don't worry about the bad things, because they get better and better and better.
Well, then I guess we should probably start talking about the good things then. How about that?
Perfect.
I guess since I've graduated, the only thing that people want to talk to me about, I'll ask you about, is the Duke game and the shot. And what was going through your head in that last moment when I shot it? Because as I've said before, that was not what the play was. The play was supposed to be, throw it to X or to Cassius and then run the pick and roll with X. But, things worked out how they did. So what was going through your mind when the shot went up?
To your credit, it was really a read, I mean, they covered it different than I thought they would. And you were wide open. If I remember, you hadn't shot it as well from the 3 during that tournament, but you were a good 3-point shooter throughout the year. Don't ask me why, but when it left your hands, I didn't say, oh no, I thought it was in. I mean, you shot it picture perfect. I mean, if you had to give somebody a shooting clinic if you watch your hand, but follow through and all the technical parts of it. And, but I just remember turning around and seeing Magic jump out of his chair about 5 rows up from us. And it was an unbelievable moment because they were a favorite to win the whole thing. And so it was one of those memories that, I talked to Mateen earlier today, and, you still have those national championship days. I still remember our games in both Detroit and on our trip to the national championship. I remember the Duke and Kentucky win down in Texas. That was one that Chris Hill and Kelvin Torbert, and we all talk about a lot, Alan Anderson. And this one, I mean, you think about it, there's been 5, 6, 7 just moments, in a 25-year career. That's not many that you'll remember for 2 lifetimes, and when all you guys are sitting there the day I go down, you'll be talking about it. You'll be sitting in a room and you guys will be laughing and talking about it. And it'll be just one of those memory makers that I preach all the time, that you don't get to do in a lot of things you do in life, but in sports, and you think about the shot. I remember making a statement to the media. There were 500,000 living alums that saw that shot, because it was, if you didn't see it then, you saw the replay and you wanted to see the replay, and people that didn't even care about sports, they wanted to see it. So, God, I get excited thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's kind of still hard to really talk about and just realize the whole, I guess you could say, how big the moment will be. Like you said, it's 6 or 7 places, but for me, it's, it was one of the better shots I've ever made and best game that we've had. But just to realize that how many people remember it, and that, like what you even opened up with about what Magic had said, it's over my head completely, and I can't grasp the concept that this is what I did.
Well, you know what I like about it, Kenny, is, you got to admit, you did work on your shooting, and you became a better shooter. That was not a Hail Mary luck shot. You shot a lot of those that year from the exact same spot, the exact same way. And I think that's what's cool about it is it's over your head, but I don't think you didn't duck the moment. A lot of people do. You had been there and done it before, so you had confidence in your shot. Not being a Hail Mary, I think, should make it easier on you, because you earned the right to shoot it and the right to make it.
Right. And that's kind of what it felt like. It was just another shot for me, but it was just like a accumulation of the entire season for our entire team, between McQuaid, how he played, Cassius, X, Aaron, Gabe, how they carried us a little bit through the tournament, the LSU game. The whole season kind of wrapped up into that game. And it just, like you said, it was something that we had done before. We never shied away from the pressure that year, and we all had worked to where we got. And so for us, it was a great feeling, but at the same time, it was another day's work.
Yep. Very well said. And, but I promise you, like I said, it'll grow. It'll be like the minnow that became Moby Dick, it'll just keep growing, and it'll get bigger. It'll be more fun. I told you before you left, you should make sure you get all the tapes of your games. And that one, you should get all the highlight tapes that were played all over the country, because you don't need to look at it, but someday your wife, someday your kids, someday your grandkids. It's crazy that you think of that. Raquel got married this summer. I got to start thinking that way now. So it's going to happen. And when it does, you're going to have a moment in time and a memory that few people will really have.
Right. And also congratulations to Rocky. I saw the pictures. It looked beautiful. But, thankful to me, like you said, getting the films and everything, that highlight is on the internet. So, the place that you don't like to venture all that much, I'll be able to find forever.
Fair enough.
It'll be all over Twitter forever. So I'll never have to worry about that.
That's one advantage.
But also, I guess with like that, like transitioning with the technology, I'm sure you've had to even work on how you like just how you've communicated with people doing interviews now in the summertime with COVID. Like, how crazy has it been? Because I even came to East Lansing for a little bit. It was while you guys were mainly out of town early in the summer, but I mean, I was there for like 4 days, and DT was like, once the team comes back in, you got to be out of here because we can't risk. How crazy has that been for you guys just trying to work with that?
Yeah, it's been very difficult, to be very honest with you. It's been one of those things. It's got guys knocking on the window. It's been one of those things that I've never been through. Nobody's
Right.
been through it. We're learning every day. I became a Zoomer now, so thank God we can have this because I can make Zoom calls now. I guess that's another plus, but because it's helped me stay in touch with people. This is pretty cool that you think you're in Greece and I'm here. So I guess another plus for the social media of some kind. But
Is Twitter next? What's up? You getting
no,
on
no,
Twitter?
no, I'm not going that far. But it's been an adjustment, Kenny, as you can imagine for you over there. And I worry about you guys. These guys here. I mean, you look out on campus, and there's nobody here. I mean,
Right.
there's 50,000 people. You know how this window was the world to me when I built this office because I can look out and see everybody going to class, walking around. I mean, I might see a worker here, somebody cutting the grass there. It's different. And now we're ready to embark on our season. And I mean, are you guys, when you play, are you empty gyms?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We played, I think, 4 games, only one official last weekend, but everything has been completely empty besides the 2 owners, a couple paramedics, a couple firefighters, and the 2 teams. And it's just hard to even get going.
Kind of surreal, isn't it? I did go to our football game this weekend. Mel kind of got me in over there, and there was about 400 people. And I sat with Coach D'Antonio, and I just couldn't. It was just hard to wrap my arms around. There's usually 75,000 people in there, and I drove over there, got practice, and drove over 10 minutes before the game, and drove right in. Usually there's traffic jams everywhere. So we're making adjustments too, Kenny, and I just hope we get our season underway. Football's playing right now, although Wisconsin just had a major setback with 12 people, that got it. And, what I hope is that we play, but what I hope even more is that everybody stays safe. You know what happened to DJ's father with the COVID. We just lost Peter Secchia, who was the ambassador to Italy, spent a lot of time in Greece, and he caught the COVID and died, for other reasons too. He was 83 or 4, but, that's what I hope for you, for me, for our families. Everybody's got to stay safe and we'll get through this.
Right. I think that's just the main thing for people right now is just staying safe, staying together, caring about one another, like how we do at Michigan State. And, it's just hard to watch people like DJ's father, Peter Secchia, that, might have been safe or taking precautions and still ending up, rest in peace to both of them. But it's just sad. It's really sad. And I'm hoping right now for you guys that you can just get going underway without any problems. Because like you said, with the problems with Wisconsin, we just had a team that we're supposed to play in 2 weeks. Out of their 12 guys, 11 of them have it. So now we're just kind of, question marking the schedule for that. We already lost 4 different teams in our division that dropped out because of different COVID reasons, money issues, all this and that. It's just a crazy world that we live in. And I could only imagine being a college student trying to go through it. I know they're testing probably, twice a week or something like that?
We're on every day now. We're testing every day, every morning at 7:30. It's really different. But, I'd like to ask you, how is it in the city in that? How safe do you feel? Do you mask up? What do you do?
It's been, when I first got out here, it was kind of weird because it was completely different change from how it was in the United States, especially with Michigan. We had worn masks pretty regularly, almost everywhere you went. I got here and I think half of the UK was on vacation here when I first got here. So all of them were at the bars, out partying, no mask, anywhere you went, and it was packed everywhere.
Wow.
And now they're starting to kind of gear up for
Right.
a second. Yeah, it's starting to gear up for a second wave as it's gotten worse here and in Athens really bad. So even when we go to Athens, which is like host of most of our teams, we don't even leave the hotel. Like they bring food to our room, we stay in the hotel room nonstop. It's getting crazy again out here, and they expected.
Yeah. Well, you just got to stay safe, man. But that's hard. And you know what? You're right. I mean, you think of the 6, 7 years when you were 18, 19, 20, I mean, that's a period of time when, it's just different. You don't expect things. It's hard to be locked in. I mean, we changed our recruiting room up there. We put some video games in and we put some arcade games in and pool. And it's just so that the guys have somewhere to go because it's just stay in their apartments or come here. And so we're trying to work around. Everybody's a little more worried about mental health and how a 20-year-old responds to all this. Now that you're a little older, a little wiser, I mean, it's going to be a little easier. It's still difficult because it's difficult for me. But for those guys who expect those 4 years of college to be able to be out doing what you want to do, it's tough. And I feel for them. I really do.
Right. I feel like when we got into college, as much as it is physical and mental in the classroom, is social is just as big as either one of those, and getting your mind away from basketball and kind of just relaxing. So not having any of the summertime really off to go do things, travel, whatever, and now coming back to school to where it's, maybe empty, but everyone's, even if there's people on campus, you can't really go and see them because you're risking,
the biggest problem we have, Kenny, is 99% of the campus is closed down, but all those kids that would have lived in the dorms are now living in apartments. And
right.
So, we had some problems with sororities, fraternities, just normal things that we understand everybody wants to do. If you do them now, we have a 21 day, if you get it here, 21 days in the Big Ten, you're out. So think of football. Those guys at Wisconsin going to be out for 3 weeks. And so I don't know. And I loved what you said earlier when you said a lot of times you can do everything the right way and it just, doesn't work. Now, sometimes some guys are doing things the wrong way, and I guess you got to expect the worst. But when you do it the right way and everything and things happen, it makes you feel bad. Really
right. It's like you said, no one's ever experienced something like this, never gone through it. There's no playbook for it. There's no right or wrong answers really at the end of the day. But, we have a guideline for what the best precautions are. And I'm sure you guys are doing your best to police the guys and kind of, steer them in the right way.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. But as you say, we're to the point now where we almost have to occupy them all day and night long, and I feel bad for them. It's not fair for them either, but we have done really well in school. We're doing some things to try to help it out. We're eating here more. We're doing some activities upstairs. I mean, we've got Xbox, we got car racing up there. You're going to enjoy it when you come back, man. I'll take you on a little race around the track. But it's difficult for them because you can't. I mean, I just enjoy being out on the campus and there's nobody to see. So it's just bizarre, but you got to find a way to survive it because that's the name of the game.
Yeah. And I guess going with that, you guys are starting to gear up. I mean, how many more weeks do you have 3 weeks until supposedly your first game?
It's now 4 weeks. It was going to be earlier. It's 4 weeks from tonight. We're scheduled to play Eastern Michigan, somebody else, and then we play Duke and Virginia and maybe Notre Dame they're working on. Now, our schedule's not even done yet, Kenny, because everybody's flipping things and moving things. We were supposed to be in Orlando. Now we can't be. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up playing 90% conference games. And if you were here when the conference was pretty good, this year they got one magazine had, I think, 9 teams in the top 35. So the conference is going to be really good. We may play more conference games than ever. When you were here, we played 18 for a while, then 20 for a while, I believe.
Yep.
Now they're talking about 22 or 24 conference games, and you know how hard conference games are. So there's a lot of things that could happen here in the next week or two.
Yeah, that's insane. And the fact that you're 4 weeks out and you kind of still have a bunch of question marks really
Yes.
is how do you plan for that? How do how do you gear up for different vacation or not vacations, work trips and whatnot like that? What
Well, you know,
go ahead.
we're not even allowed out recruiting. So we've had to do all that by Zoom. We're not allowed to go visit anybody. Nobody's been in an airplane. So you're right. We're really trying to help the players out, because as hard as it is on us, at 20, man, it's probably not fair for you, but it's really not fair for that 18 to 22 that's come to college thinking this is my first time away from home. I'm going to have some freedom. And now they might as well be in jail in some ways. You're quarantining a lot, and you're being careful about everybody. You don't meet people like you used to. I worry a little bit, Ken, about the residual effects of this down the road for guys and gals.
Absolutely.
And that's so we're trying to make it as normal, have some fun, get some work done, and see what we can do with this season. We got a good team. Got a good team. We're going to miss Cash and X and Arnie, but at the same time, Joey Hauser's come on. He's going to be a little bit more of a foreman like you were that could shoot it. We've got some good things with Aaron Henry's gotten better. Gabe Brown's gotten a lot better. Foster Lawyer's gotten a lot better. Rocket's we got to figure out who our point guard is. And then at center, we've got a bunch of guys from Markey to everybody else who have played pretty well together. So our big thing will be getting our point guard straightened out, our quarterback. Mm-hmm. And then, getting Joey and Malik situated at the position you played. Joey's got some experience doing it. Malik's got some experience. So I think we could be really good, and yet we are really good, and we're picked fourth in the league. So that tells you a little bit about our league.
Yeah, no, I saw the couple, different magazines where they had you guys wrote off at, but even after last year, seeing some of the guys that contributed as young guys, Malik, even Julius coming off the bench, but watching my young guys and Aaron, Gabe, Foster, Tommy, all of them growing up, it's so weird to see now that they're upperclassmen, and talk about them in the role that I was in, 2 years ago. It's great to see though, you always hope that for your brother, your teammate, that they can step up and go somewhere with that. You guys went through that. You had a couple teams you played on that, and it's not like it's funny because you're right. We're kind of written off, and yet we're ranked 12th or 18th or 20th, or, there was a day that would be utopia, but things have changed, and I'm kind of proud of it. It's a good thing. But it's a bad thing if people don't realize how hard it is to maintain that. But I think we got a lot of good players, and now we just got to put them together. Right. And I mean, as everyone knows, Michigan State's time isn't putting it together in November. We're going to get it together in March. So I'm not worried either. But I think you also said when I was there, the worst thing ever was being ranked in the top 5 preseason, because that's when everyone's, aiming for you. You got this huge target on you. And everyone's gunning for you. So as we've all experienced before and, kind of climbed our way out of the underdog situation, it's nothing new to you. I'm sure it's nothing new to those guys. And, I'm really excited for everything that you guys have, leading up to this year.
Well, hopefully you can keep up on us, and hopefully, you'll keep us up on you a little bit, because I worry about you a little bit with all the things. Europe has really changed now in the last month. It's spiking up all over in Europe, and I know Spain and France, and there's a lot of places that are closing down a lot. It's gotten a little rougher around here too. Hopefully we'll take care of everybody and stay safe. And so you got to keep making sure you stay up on us, and this thing could end up a good deal for you. I think it's not like I said, you're very smart, you're very articulate. So, and I know a lot of great guests you could get on there that would have fun with everything. So hopefully you'll keep doing this and maybe have me on for a second time sometime.
I'm sure I will later in the season. We'll see how your opinions have changed on things. But I'll also have to get a list from you for all the guests. And again, I want to just thank you for everything, for the 5 years that I was there, and now even helping me after, and how you continue to help everyone. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to all of us, and I just want you to know that.
Well, Kenny, I appreciate it. I really do. And make sure we stay in contact now and closer touch. And I think you're off to a good start. I mean, this was kind of fun. We had a little fun with it. We talked about some interesting things. And I think you did your homework. I could tell you were organized on what you wanted to say, which doesn't surprise me. So keep growing as a person, keep growing as a player. I mean, you are one of those guys that I'm telling you, you can guard anybody, you can shoot it, just keep working on your game. And when it's time to go home, then we'll work on a good job and have another Kenny Goins that I can recruit if I can stay in it long enough.
Yeah, well, hopefully maybe Mateen Cleaves can hook me up with someone at Fox or something someday.
That'd be good.
Right. All right, Coach. Well, I guess this will be the end of the first one. I don't know how I'm going to get better than, having a Hall of Fame coach on for the first episode, but thanks to him, I'm sure I'll find a better guest. Again, just thank you for the time, and, I'll stay in contact and tell the assistant coaches they better be ready to detail some games after the season starts.
All right, Kenny, you have a good time over there. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. God bless you.
Yeah, stay safe over there too. Tell all the guys I said hi.
All right, Kenny. See you, man.